Testing, testing. Called this evening is Monday, November 11th, 2024, regular school board meeting to open tonight. And just want to welcome everyone out here tonight to this Veterans Day Monday. And also want to thank all the veterans. If you're a veteran here today, would you stand up? Anyone? All right, will you give them a hand? I also want to thank Mr. Danzy today for putting on the Veterans Day ceremony here at Spotswood High School, and Bo Dickinson and all the students that put together such a wonderful event and honored our veterans. And just a great time that was today to be able to come to Spotswood and be a part of that. So thank you guys. Thank the school. Thank you, Mr. Danzy, and all the administrators here for all the work you put in to do that, and also hosting us tonight before the meeting and the meal. We really do appreciate that. Before we get started tonight, I do want to just remind everyone that this is the month of Thanksgiving here in November, and take an opportunity to be thankful for what you have in life. Be thankful for the small things that we overlook so many times in our lives, and don't just regulate that to one day, but try to do it throughout the whole month and reflect on things that you're thankful for. And I really think it'll help out inside your life. And tonight, I just want to start off the meeting. I've started off the last couple of meetings saying how thankful I am for the board of how much time they put into doing this job, really a thankless job, but the time that they've been putting in to hear student matters and things that go on. We came in today at 4:30 before the meeting, and that's kind of turned into a usual time frame that we're coming in before and usually staying after to hear student matter cases. And I really believe to do this job correctly that you have to put that time in, and it takes a lot of time to do it correctly, to be able to make sure things are going well inside the schools, and making sure that, sorry, my mic keeps cutting in and out on me. But the one thing I do want to say I am thankful for tonight is I'm thankful for Dr. Shiflett. I wanted to say, I've told this story a few times, but when we started out looking for a new superintendent, Dan Breeden at the time, before we interviewed any of the superintendents, he said, I'd like to say a prayer tonight or today, and ask God to help us along this journey in finding our next superintendent for Rockingham County. And being a part of that process and praying that day and asking for wisdom and guidance in that process, you really see the hand of God move in helping us with our next superintendent. And I just want to say, Dr. Shiflett, it's been an honor to be able to work for you, and I really appreciate the job that you've been doing and that you are doing for Rockingham County. It's a real blessing to have you at the head of RCPS, so thank you so much. To start the meeting out tonight, we're going to start off with a moment of silence. So if you'll join me tonight for a moment of silence. Okay, thank you. Tonight we have a real honor to have our safety director, Caleb Bailey. He is going to come up here tonight. He is a professional singer, and what would you say, Caleb? Not only singer, but you do bluegrass, right?
Yeah, I got a bluegrass band.
He's got a bluegrass band, but he's doing great. And we've asked him tonight if he would open the tonight up with the national anthem. So would you stand with us tonight as we give honor?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. Thank you, Caleb, for doing that for us tonight. Before we start our recognition of Brittany Lamb and Kelly Cogsdale Character Counts Awards, I'd like to start off the meeting reading the Virginia Code of why we do this, because a lot of people don't understand really why this is part of our meeting. But it says in the Virginia Code 22.1-208.01 that the Department of Education shall develop curricular guidelines for school divisions to use in establishing a character education program through a summer youth development academy. The purpose of the character education program shall be to instill in students civic virtues and personal character traits so as to improve the learning environment, promote student achievement, reduce disciplinary problems, and develop civic-minded students of high character. The components of each program shall be developed in cooperation with the students, their parents, and the community at large. The basic character traits taught may include 1, trustworthiness, including honesty, integrity, reliability, and loyalty. 2, respect, including the precepts of the Golden Rule, tolerance, and courtesy. 3, responsibility, including hard work, economic self-reliance, accountability, diligence, perseverance, and self-control. 4, fairness, including justice, consequences of bad behavior, principles of non-discrimination, and freedom from prejudice. 5, caring, including kindness, empathy, compassion, consideration, generosity, and charity. And 6, citizenship, including patriotism, the Pledge of Allegiance, respect for the American flag, concern for the common good, respect for authority and the law, and community mindedness. So tonight, as you see these principles that come forward tonight and give out these awards of character counts to our students, they model those 6 traits that the Code of Virginia tells school boards that we must be able to put into practice into our curriculum here in our schools. So tonight, first of all, Mr. Rad Danzy, will you come forward first and present?
Chair Cross, members of the board, Dr. Shiflett, and those gathered here this evening, welcome to Spotswood High School for the November 11, 2024 Rockingham County Public Schools Board meeting. First, I would like to thank each of you once again for the privilege of serving as Spotswood's principal. I am honored to work alongside a dedicated staff, a supportive school community, and a diverse and caring student body. I am proud of the way our students could come together to support and respect one another as they represent their school and their families at the highest level. And that respect was on full display today through the manner in which our students honored our local veterans. Tonight is my privilege to present to the board our Brittany Lamb, Kelly Cogsdale Character Counts recipients, and our Volunteers of the Year. Ella, would you please come down with me? Spotswood High School is excited to present Ella Lee as the Brittany Lamb Kelly Cogsdale Character Counts Award recipient. As principal, I have had the honor of watching Ella grow into a strong and confident young lady who truly values those around her and continuously gives of her time and efforts to assist those she cares about. When asking teachers to share thoughts about Ella, they wrote glowing words describing her as a kind, caring, and hardworking student. Mathematics teacher Jennifer Joyner shared, Ella Lee is thoughtful in every way. Her homework assignments are impeccable. She gives 110% and works diligently every minute of class. She's a true role model for her peers at Spotswood High School. She is caring towards her classmates. She never complains and encourages those around her to always give their best effort. She makes teaching a joy because she cares about her education and wants to learn more. Her teacher and former tennis coach, Chad Edwards, echoed these thoughts. I want to celebrate the virtues of Ella Lee. Ella stands out from the others I have coached in terms of being well-rounded and actively involved in a variety of endeavors. As a citizen, Ella is a woman of integrity and first-class character. As a student, she is committed to doing her very best and enjoys pushing herself to reach her full potential. As an athlete, Ella works hard to maximize her ability and embraces leadership to inspire her teammates. Ella Lee is a special young lady. It is my pleasure to recommend her without reservation for the Brittany Lamb Kelly Cogsdale Character Counts Award. The sentiments of Ella's desire to do well in the class while assisting others to excel is an exceptional trait. Her willingness to give of herself so others can reach their potential speaks well to who she is as a leader and a positive role model at Spotswood High School. Social studies teacher Denise Lamb and English teacher Barbara Bean share their appreciation of Ella in their classroom. Ms. Lamb shared that Ella Lee was a very pleasant and hardworking student in the AP Geography class during her sophomore year. She was always willing to help her classmates with a smile and a positive attitude. Although she's no longer in my class, I can still see her smiling at others and making people feel comfortable in her presence. Ms. Bean stated, Ella is a composed, mature young woman who contributes to class discussions, are insightful and valuable. From these words, it is clear that Ella has made an indelible mark on the Spotswood High School Trailblazer community. She has used her time, energy, and voice to build a strong reputation among her teachers, administrators, and peers. I'm excited to see where her journeys will take her, and I'm eager to see the leader she will become. Ella, congratulations on this well-earned recognition. Please know that we are proud of you and thank you for helping Spotswood build a community and environment where all are appreciated and valued. Congratulations.
Dad, family, would you like to come up here? Come on up. We're proud of you, Ella, for all that you. Tonight as well. So we'd like to take this moment. Rad, would you get in here?
Jackson, would you please come down? One of the gifts of being in a school for a very long time is you get to watch generations of families come through. And Jackson, as I'll say some kind words about him, is definitely a reflection of his parents. I was fortunate enough to have his mom, who's now a teacher at Spotswood, as a member of our JV softball team back in 94, 5, 6, somewhere around that time. So Jackson, we'll recognize you. You're being recognized by your teachers as a Spotswood High School Brittany Lamb Kelly Cogsdale Character Counts Award recipient based on the incredible spirit that you share with everyone you come in contact with each day. I appreciate the privilege of watching Jackson grow into a young man who works hard in all aspects of school. When asking teachers about Jackson, the words exceptional, integrity, and positive are common. Spotswood marketing teacher Beth Webb had the privilege of teaching Jackson over several years. She shared the following. Jackson Graves exhibited exceptional character traits from the moment he walked in Spotswood High School. I've had the privilege of teaching him throughout his high school career and can honestly say that he is a rare combination of a student who is academically successful, interested in seeking new knowledge, respected by his peers, encourages to his classmates, and generally helpful to others. Plus, he can share a pretty funny story and is a smile for everyone. Jackson is an outstanding trailblazer leader who will be leaving Spotswood better than he found it. We only wish we could keep him a few more years. I'm sure you don't feel the same about that part of it. This sentiment is shared by his mathematics teacher, Jennifer Joyner, when stating, Jackson Graves embodies the Spotswood spirit. He comes to school every day ready to learn and always gives his best effort in every assignment. He brings a sense of humor to the class and makes everyone feel welcome. He has integrity and never tries to take shortcuts on his schoolwork. He makes the class better and cares about fellow classmates and teachers. He often asks, how was your weekend, or how are you doing, and generally cares. His positive attitude is infectious. Spotswood High School counselor Jimmy Miller shared, Jackson is a young man who possesses the highest levels of moral integrity and character. He is an extremely hard worker, and his teachers rave about him never taking shortcuts. Jackson truly cares about other people. In my experience is that he wants others to be successful and will try to help them to achieve their goals, even if it means they get the headlines and he doesn't. Perhaps the greatest compliment a young man or person can receive in terms of their character came from one teacher who said that he hopes his own son grows up to be like Jackson. It is clear from these words that Jackson has earned the respect of the Spotswood High School staff. During his time as a trailblazer, Jackson has worked hard to grow as a student, an athlete, and a person that looks to others to look to for leadership and assistance. I am grateful to have been able to witness this growth, and I know these traits will guide him as he moves into his next life's journey. Congratulations, Jackson, and please continue to lead others with the enthusiasm and care we need in our school community. Well done.
Mom and Dad, would you come forward? I appreciate it. Jackson, to hear everything that was said about you today, thank you, Rad. Appreciate that. You're going to be missed here at Spotswood, it sounds like. I wanted to read a quote from John Wesley, and he said, do all the good you can do by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as you ever can. So keep on. I know Mom and Dad are very proud of you and the young man that you've become, and I know there's greater things for you to do. So congratulations. Thank you for being a great role model here at Spotswood High School, your 4 years being here at the school. So thank you. Will you get another hand tonight? Take a picture of it.
Nikki and Jeremy, will you please join me down here? The Spotswood family is excited and honored to present Nikki and Jeremy Sweet as the Spotswood High School Volunteer Recognition recipients. No school can fully operate without the assistance of dedicated volunteers who willingly give of their time, effort, and energy to ensure that our students and teachers have what is needed to be successful. At Spotswood, we are blessed to have Nikki and Jeremy as leaders in our Marching Trailblazers Booster Club. Over the past 9 years, 18 combined, they have driven hundreds of miles, hemmed countless uniforms, conducted needed fundraisers, and provided the extras to support our award-winning marching band. The Spotswood Marching Band Director, Sean Maycomer, is excited to recognize Nikki and Jeremy for their combined dedication. They have been a constant presence in their daughters, Madison and Julianne's lives as they performed in the band So Mr. Maycomber shared the following. Nikki and Jeremy Sweet have been a part of the Spotswood High School Band program since the fall of 2016. Both their daughters, Madison and Julianne, were part of the program their entire high school careers. Nikki's been the band booster president for the past 5 years, and Jeremy has helped lead the parents when it came to moving equipment for the marching band. Besides those big responsibilities, they have also taken charge of fitting students for their uniforms each year, organizing the meals for football games and competitions, taking pictures and videos of the band, putting our show props together, and so much more. The Spotswood Band program has been in great hands because of the Sweets for their past several years, and they will be greatly missed after this year when their youngest daughter, Julianne, graduates. The band wants to thank the Sweets for all they have done and know that you're always welcome to come back. Nikki and Jeremy, thank you for all the love and care you have given to our band members over the years. The Marching Trailblazers are recognized as an outstanding band program, and this is not my accident. It's because we have dedicated adults who volunteer to do what is needed to fully support Sean and his students. Indeed, you're always welcome back, and thank you for making it a great day to be a Marching Trailblazer. Congratulations.
Mr. and Mrs. Sweet, thank you guys so much for all the work that you've put in here at Spotswood High School and the band and the community. You got a lot of fans in here tonight represented, and I hear you guys are big Boston Red Sox fans, so stay calm and keep singing Sweet Caroline. Would you like? Next on our list tonight is Peak View. Ali Gadara is here. All right. Will you welcome her today? Thank you so much for coming out.
Good evening, Dr. Shiflett, Chairman Cross, and school board members. Thank you for allowing us to present these awards this evening to some exemplary members of our Peakview community. First up, Jordan, will you come stand with me, please? Jordan Good is recognized by her teachers as the Brittany Lamb Kelly Clogsdale Character Counts Student of the Month. Jordan exemplifies all character counts pillars on a daily basis and encourages others to do the same. She is a hardworking and dedicated student. If there is anything she struggles with, she always asks for help and works until she figures it out. She received all A's and B's in the first 9 weeks of 5th grade, which just shows how hard she works. She always tries her best in everything she does. Jordan is a member of Peakview's Hippity Hoppers, our jump rope team, and part of the 5th grade chorus. She is a great artist and is active in ballet. She is always willing to help others in need. Jordan's 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Wangerow, has said that she has enjoyed getting to know Jordan so far this year and looks forward to the rest of the year with her in her classroom. Congratulations, Jordan.
Would you please come up? Will you give them a big hand as they come forward tonight? I heard tonight during what your principal was saying tonight that you're a hard worker, and I wanted to read this quote from Winston Churchill. What he said, continuous effort, not strength or intelligence, is the key to unlocking our potential. So keep working hard, keep doing ballet. So do you, all right, we'll keep on doing that. And today, Mom and Dad, I have the award you guys can put up at home. We have a certificate for you, Jordan, to go to Klein's, and a little lapel pin that you can put on as well. So thank you, guys. Will you give them another hand tonight?
Boston, will you come up with me? Boston Lots is recognized by his teachers as the Brittany Lamb Kelly Cogsdale Character Count Student of the Month for embodying kindness, respect, and dedication. Boston is known for tackling every task with enthusiasm, actively participating in his classes, and always contributing in a positive manner. Beyond academics, he shines in activities like hippity hoppers, chorus, football, and as a member of the 5th grade safety patrol. Boston's 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Siciliano, says that it has been a joy to watch Boston serve as a role model for our school's values. Please join me in congratulating this well-deserving award recipient.
Mom, are you here today? Welcome. Dad's coming too. Thank you guys for raising a great young man and a great example for our schools. I want to read a quote tonight from Mother Teresa. She said, "The good you do today will often be forgotten. Do good anyway." Keep on doing what you're doing, and I want to give you tonight a certificate that Klein's Dairy Bar. Take you to that, and a lapel pin for you to be able to have, and thank you guys for all that you do. Can you give them a hand?
Maria, will you come down now, please? Maria Mormon is recognized by Peakview Elementary as our 24-2025 Volunteer of the Year. Mrs. Mormon goes above and beyond for the Peakview community by volunteering at every opportunity she gets. She has helped us, just so far this year, with Picture Day, hearing screenings, and many, many staff appreciation events. She is also a supportive parent. Her daughter Callie is in 4th grade, and she exemplifies strong manners, kindness, and respect, all traits which Mrs. Mormon has helped instill and models every time she is in our building. We are so grateful to Maria and are honored to recognize her as Peakview's Volunteer of the Year.
Give all recipients one more hand tonight as they go to sit down. Thank you. Next is our Inspire Awards, and the Inspire Awards was created for RCPS stakeholders to recognize a teacher or staff member who has impacted their life, inspired their learning, or made a distinct impression on their child. Nominations are accepted from students, parents, student teachers, classroom volunteers, and community members. This award is made possible with the financial support from the Rockingham Educational Foundation and DuPont Community Credit Union. And tonight, our first person that's going to come forward is going to be Cole Campbell. He's a student, and he's presenting to Erica Wood, 4th grade teacher at Mountain View Elementary.
I was always excited to go to school on Monday mornings because Miss Wood would always be excited to ask me about my favorite football team, Go Dukes. She would share how her team did, the Florida Gators, and then we would talk about all the games. When game day came, she helped me make a sign to hold. Miss Wood made learning fun. She was always excited and enthusiastic to teach us new stuff. Miss Wood would always take the time to explain something we didn't understand and would help us until we got it. Her classroom was welcoming and a fun environment. Miss Wood is one of the best fourth grade teachers ever.
Next tonight, Jose Castro Franco, student, will be presenting to Justin Mackey, theater teacher here at Spotswood High School.
Sophomore year, I entered the classroom as a very quiet, introverted kid. That classroom was Miss Mackey's tech theater class. I had only one friend in that class. I would talk to him because of how introverted I was. I don't know what Miss Mackey saw in me and my friend. She wanted us to sign up for theater the next year. Reluctantly, we both did. In theater class, Miss Mackey allowed me to come out my shell and find myself. I discovered that I enjoyed acting. With with Miss Mackey's help, I was able to get better at performing. Then it was announced that people from my neighborhood were being redistricted. I was distraught. I thought I had lost all my friends. Then Miss Mackey gave me a spot in the musical. I found a whole new group of friends, and it changed my life and made my love for acting grow even more. I became more extroverted and decided to pursue theater for one more year. With Miss Mackey's help, I went from being scared of stepping onto the stage to not being afraid to pour my heart out on one.
Thank you, Ms. Mackey. Last tonight, Karen Arzuga was going to be the parent to present, but Mr. Baker is going to he's going to present this tonight to Rachel Lute, pre-K teacher at McGackey'sville. So Mr. Baker, you'll come on up.
I think it's interesting that we've covered the gamut tonight. We just had a high school award. We had a fourth grade award earlier, and this is a recognition of a pre-K teacher. So I humbly and with honor will present these words on behalf of parent Karen Orzuega. This person is more than special. She is an angel for every child. It is incredible how she manages to get children as young as 4 years old to love and admire her in such a short time. The love and dedication with which she does her work is admirable. For this reason, she is an inspiration for everyone. I hope that all people in the world work hard and work with the love that she does. She is the best with the kids. Thank you.
We give her one more hand. And last tonight, we're going to have Juan Morales Escobar, sophomore here at Spotswood High School. He's going to come up and give the FFA Creed in Spanish. And I'd like for Dr. Shiflett to be able to explain how he met him and why he asked him to come forward tonight and do this.
Yes, so as I'm kind of giving my backstory, Mrs. Lamb will come down and talk a little bit about the contest. But I had an opportunity at the FFA convention to meet Juan. I didn't get a chance to hear him recite the creed in the competition. However, he did grace us with that recitation as we were leaving the assembly there. So I did get to hear it, and I thought it'd be great for the school board and those in attendance to hear this.
Thank you. I'm Elizabeth Lamb. I'm Juan's agriculture education teacher here at Spotswood. And last May, state FFA came out with a first-time creed-speaking contest in Spanish, and this is to move with FFA, national FFA's organizations, purpose of inclusion and diversity within all of our members. Other states have been doing this for a couple of years, but Virginia started, and Juan placed in the state and was invited to the first invitational Spanish Creed speaking contest. This was 42 students out of 24 states that he was competing against at the national level. He did earn a gold pen and represented Virginia very well. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce Juan Morales Escobar and the FFA Creed in Spanish.
You hear me? Okay. Hello. My name is Juan Morales Escobar. I'm from the Spotswood FFA chapter. And este es el credo de FFA por Ian Tiffany. Creo en el futuro de la agricultura, con una fe que no nace de las palabras, sino de los hechos. Logros conseguidos por las generaciones presentes y pasadas de agricultores, en la promesa de días mejores a través de mejores maneras. Así como creo que las mejores cosas de las que gozamos hoy han llegado a nosotros como resultado de las luchas de años anteriores. Creo que vivir y trabajar en una buena finca o dedicarse a otras actividades agrícolas es agradable y al mismo tiempo es un reto, porque conozco las alegrías e inconvenientes de la vida agrícola y mantengo una afición innata por aquellas asociaciones que no le negaré ni en horas de desaliento. Creo en nuestro propio liderazgo y en el respeto a los demás. Creo en mi propia capacidad de trabajar con eficiencia y pensar con claridad, con cuantos conocimientos y habilidades pueda adquirir, y en la capacidad de los agricultores progresistas para servir nuestros propios intereses y el interés público en la producción y comercialización del producto de nuestro trabajo. Creo en menos dependencia de la caridad y más poder en la negociación, en la vida abundante y que haya suficiente riqueza honesta para ayudar a que así sea, tanto para los demás como para mí, sin necesidad de caridad y más de ella cuando sea necesario. Creo en ser feliz y en ser más honesto con aquellos cuya felicidad depende de mí. Creo que la agricultura de Estados Unidos puede y debe mantenerse fiel a las mejores tradiciones de nuestra vida nacional, y que puedo ejercer influencia en mi hogar y en la comunidad, que se mantendrá firme por mi parte en esta inspiradora tarea. Thank you.
Number one, thank you for representing us, Rockingham County. Was it Kansas? Were you, or Missouri? Indiana. Okay, all right. Thank you for going. Thank you for representing us, and thank you tonight, standing up here very confident and saying what you said. I picked up just on a little bit of things you said, but you did a great job tonight. Would you, Ms. Lamb, come up here, and would I ask the whole board and the superintendent come up and have a picture with him tonight, as this a great occasion to be able to be our first representative here for Rockingham County. So I'm very proud of you. All right, at this time, we are going to take a 5-minute break. So if you came tonight and like to leave, you can do that. We'll take a 5-minute break and then we'll come back. Thanks. start back up tonight. Thank you so much for allowing us to take that quick break and let people leave that needed to leave. Tonight, we'll start off with board member highlights, and I'll go out of order tonight, and I'll start with Ms. Holly Cave.
I wasn't ready. I just had a thought. Hold on, it's got to come back to me about, was it Juan? What is that his name? That just, I was sitting here thinking while he was reciting that creed that it would be really cool to have the FFA creed in front of us so we could sort of follow along. But then I thought if we were looking at that, we would sort of lose the beauty of the language. So that was really, really cool to sit there and listen to. I mean, I just really, really enjoyed that. We've had a really busy 2 weeks, and I guess I should start off with saying, Happy Veterans Day to all of our veterans. My stepdad is a veteran, and I just, they keep our country free, and they sacrifice more than what I can even sit here and say. And I don't remember which school I was in, but one of the ladies that was a veteran came up to me and said, "Thank you for what you're doing." And I'm like, and I told her, I said, what I'm doing here pales in comparison to what everybody here has done today. So I just wanted to thank all the veterans out there, and thank you to all the schools. I got to McGaheysville and Riverbend, Elkton Elementary, and just from one school to the next, and everything was done so well and beautifully, and just honor our veterans. And the ensemble from JMU at McGaheysville was really cool to sit there and listen to, just to the singing at Elkton Elementary by our students. I just really enjoyed it. I just want to thank the administrators there for organizing and putting that together really year after year, and just honoring the folks that have served our country so well. So thank you all for doing that. And the one other thing I got to do, I don't recall if it was last week or the week before now, but I got to visit Mr. Rocap's 6th grade class at Elkton Middle School, and his classroom was doing an online meet with another classroom somewhere in the United States, and the classes got to take turns asking the other classroom questions that would pinpoint their location, what state they were in. And it was so neat to watch. Like, they did not ask simple questions like, are you in Virginia? Are you in North Carolina? Like, they asked good questions like, are you east of the Mississippi? And I think that was like the first question that was asked, and I was like, wow, that is a really good question, because that knocks off much of the United States, one way or the other. And then the next question was the state that you're in one of the original 13 colonies? So, I mean, they were just rehearsed and ready, and it was really cool to get to sit there and watch and listen to. And of course, Elkton Middle School won there. Well, the class that I attended, they won there. So that was really neat. And I just want to thank Mr. Roadcap. He was actually an administrator with us for a year, and realized that he just loved classroom so much, I guess, that he went back, and he's a real asset to Elkton Middle. And to our county in general. So I'm glad that he's in the classroom. He does some bus driving, I believe, for us probably still. Him and Dr. Holloway down there are taking those buses back in the hollers. Is that okay? Can I say that? And I got to ride bus one day with Miss Holloway, and it's incredible the ends that our teachers will go to for our students and for our schools. So I think that covers some of my highlights, and I'll give somebody else a chance to talk, but thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cave. Ms. Hurst?
I have quite a few. I couldn't really narrow it down. Well, this is what I narrowed it down to. So first, I want to highlight Jazz in the Middle Festival at JMU. This is something that our middle school jazz band ensembles can participate in. 3 of our middle schools attended: Penn, J. Frank, and Montevideo, and also Skyline Middle from Harrisburg City. And each group played 2 pieces that they had prepared, and then a professor and some teacher education students gave them some constructive feedback. it was an all-day trip because then afterwards they went to D Hall and had lunch, which I'm sure was their highlight. They were just, really excited about all of the food options. But what was really awesome was afterwards, one of the JMU jazz ensembles gave a performance for all of the students, and then they ended up with what I would call just a jam session. I'm sure there's a better term for it, but they had all 4 of the middle schools grab their instruments. And I mean, you have to remember these are 7th and 8th grade students, so they've only been playing an instrument for a full year, maybe 2. And the fact that, they were able to get the JMU students, gave them a couple of instructions, like we're going to play in this key, and then we're going to play in this key, and we're going to hang in there for 4 beats or however many measures, and then they gave kids a chance just to improv. So if you don't know what improv is, to me, someone who likes to have her notes or her sheet music in front of her, improv is really scary because you're just given the chords and then you make it up and you go for it. And that takes a lot of courage and a lot of creativity to do that in a group of your peers. And so it was just a really awesome experience. And so I just wanted to say thank you to all the middle school band directors and for JMU for putting together this opportunity. It was just fantastic. I also attended, I don't know if, how many people are familiar with Any Given Child, but Any Given Child Shenandoah Valley, their mission is to ensure the arts for any given child in Rockingham and Harrisonburg. And the way they do this is by sponsoring a variety of different arts events. So I attended one that was for a group of 7th and 8th grade students. This is kind of in partnership with EMU. They sponsored a performer named Isaiah Harris, who is a singer, a tap dancer, and a musical theater performer. And I love tap dancing. It just makes me smile. And this performer, he was just awesome. And if you think, tap dancing isn't relatable to today's 7th and 8th grade students, you would maybe think you were right until you see this guy in action. And he just did an incredible job of highlighting different styles of tap dance. But he also had a really powerful message that I thought was great. And while he tap danced, he would talk about how he started in his career as a 5-year-old. And he had the kids singing along to a song he created that just says, I know I can be what I want to be. If I work hard at it, I can be what I want to be. And the whole theme was working hard, putting your mind, heart, and soul into whatever it is that you want to do, and you can accomplish a great many things. And so I just want to say thank you to Any Given Child for providing these, among other opportunities, for our students in Rockingham County. I know that I attended with the 8th graders from Penn, and I know they were smiling. They were moving, and their feet were moving. Even they were tapping along with him. It was just really cool, and he had a very interactive and engaging performance. So that was really awesome. I was thrilled to see that we have those opportunities for students. Another thing I wanted to share is we have these kinds of things that happen all over the county. Our teachers just do so many amazing things with our students. We, highlighted Luke Roadcap, but another one that I want to highlight is April Soltis from Cub Run. She's the gifted instructor there. She invited us to come and see a presentation by her gifted students. And these students have spent the last several weeks researching McDonald's Happy Meals, commercials, marketing, and design. And then they created their own Happy Meals, including toys, and they made commercials. And they were just really awesome, just darling. A representative from McDonald's also came to the presentation, and we had an opportunity to see several of them share their newly improved Happy Meals. They were so creative, elderberry-infused drinks, organic beef and chicken meals, and still others incorporated really awesome box designs, like different Happy Meal box designs and toys. It was just another example of some of the opportunities that our teachers provide to our students to just think critically, learn and apply new information. It was just really phenomenal. And then finally, so sorry, usually I only do one or two of these, but I attended the Turner Ashby Veterans Day program on Friday, and they do this every year. They invite local veterans in for breakfast and then have a program afterwards. The band played, the choir sang a song called Unsung Heroes, and then they had a veteran come in and give a speech. But my favorite part is when they honor the veterans that come, and the band plays the military medley that has each of the armed forces songs. And so when they hear their song, they stand up, and it's just a chance to acknowledge those things. Just bring tears to my eyes, because we are so grateful for the sacrifices and the service that they have given to us. And so anyway, I just want to once again reiterate what Ms. Cave said, which is, thank you to all of our principals and teachers who put together programming and breakfasts and things for our veterans. I think it's a great thing for our kids to see even at an early age. So thank you for the highlight time.
Thank you, Ms. Hurst. Ms. Berkling?
So I have several highlights too. I'll be quick. Excuse me. I got to go to a pumpkin patch field trip with my twins, and it was really interactive, really, really cool, and I loved that my kids' teacher kept it local to Rockingham County, so that was really nice and it was a pumpkin patch I hadn't been to before, and it was a blast. So, and I love being able to chaperone those events. I loved Mr. Roadcap's event, and I will put this plug out there. If anybody has friends or family or anything who are social studies teachers in middle school age that live in another state that want to participate in this, send Mr. Roadcap a message, because he found that it was challenging finding other middle school teachers who wanted to do a mystery hangout with him. So I thought it was really, really fun. I'm very competitive. Mrs. Hurst and I went, and I was like, yes, we have got this. Come on, guys. And I was really impressed with their questions as well. One of the questions they said was, were you affected by the hurricane? So I thought that was really thinking outside the box of where it could be in the United States. So that was really cool. Mr. Roadcap seems like a really cool teacher. I would love to have had him in middle school, because he just seemed like a rock star teacher. I was able to visit Plains Elementary School the past 2 weeks, and I was also able to be a Panther Pack member at my kids' school, which is similar to Watchdogs around Rockingham County. And we just do a half day, but I ended up staying all day, and I got to make candy apples with the third graders, which was a lot of fun. I think that's it. Well, my last thing, I just wanted to publicly thank our veterans as well, since we're here at Veterans Day. I felt like I was so bombarded with emails constantly. We're having an event, and it was the best feeling to constantly be getting invited to every single one of our schools for a function to celebrate our veterans. There were so many things, and I wish I could have attended every single one. The one that I did go to was at Lacey Spring Elementary. They did a collaboration with Linville Edom, which is where my kids go. So 3rd and 4th graders did a production for them. And when I got there, there was a line out the door of about 100 people. And that was really, really cool to see all the support, all the parents, grandparents, all the veterans coming to be a part of this. Both of my grandfathers were in the United States Army, so my kids are too young and never met them, but I just thought this was a really cool thing. And to our veterans, I just want to thank you for your dedication to keeping us safe. And yeah, I really appreciate all of our staff, administration, and everybody, for our music teachers. I mean, they really pulled out all the stops for these events, so thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Berkling. Ms. Lohr?
Thank you. Ms. Cave, it's interesting that you said that you wanted to follow along, because that's I wanted to follow along too, because that's typically my job. I'll judge it, and you have to, like, the child has to say every single word, and there's a point deduction if you miss a word or add a word. And one of my favorite stories was a time when I judged, a kid forgot his line, and he said, "Oh, darn it, I forgot what I'm supposed to say. Can I start over?" I'm like, "No, you really can't," and all those counted. So it's a really hard competition. And then I was talking after he performed, and I was made aware. I think I knew this before, but I keep forgetting. In that particular contest, they have to answer questions, and he had to answer questions in Spanish. So I mean, that's impressive. That was definitely one of the highlights of my weeks, and it folds very nicely into my shameless plug for MTC Farm, in that the Spanish ag class from Broadway High School came to visit last Thursday and Friday. We had both classes in. And they learned all these different terms in Spanish on the farm, and that was really cool. And then I was able to go into the classroom and see all the pictures that they'd taken, and all the translations. And there was one that was up on the board that it was Graneos, I believe. I know I'm butchering it. And I was speaking to a child that wasn't in the Ag Spanish class, and he said, "I think that's grandkids." I'm like, "Well, it says that my husband and I and my son are grandkids, so I think that's wrong." But it means farmers. So granjeos is farmers in Spanish, so I sort of learned that with that process. And then, so we had those guys come out, and then we also had MTC, so we were like swapping kids we got a hay wagon and gave everybody a hay ride, and took them down to see the chickens and then the sheep, and it was quite the MTC working farm. And then at the end of the day, we also had a soil pit that we dug, and had FFA students come out and practice identifying and doing the land judging contest that they did and that they participated in on election day, and I believe they placed fourth, but they learned a lot about soils and did great on that. But it was quite the MTC farm, and made me realize, boy, this would be used if it was a real farm that we could have and have it open. And then I talked to a teacher from an elementary school, and the MTC teacher has invited them out for lambing season. I'm like, great, but it would be great if we could have this open for all Rockingham. And it is. If you want to come to my house during lambing season, come on. But it would be great if we could have a full farm. I know it would be very well used. But that was definitely highlights of my week. And then, of course, today I was able to go to Broadway High School and attend the Veterans Day celebration there. And it's just, it really makes you stop and think. And I'm just so appreciative to everyone that has stepped up and said, yeah, we'll protect you. We will make this way of life possible. And I cannot be grateful enough. So thank you, and I will stop talking and give everybody their lives back.
Thank you, Ms. Lohr. Dr. Shiflett?
Thank you, Chair Cross. First of all, just happy Veterans Day, and thank you to all those who have served and who are serving. Also, Caleb, thanks for the national anthem. You did an excellent job. I'm not a singer, but I think singing the national anthem would be the hardest song in the world to sing, and yeah, you knocked it out of the park. A couple of highlights. Again, Veterans Day celebrations. Kudos to all of our schools for the events that they put together to honor our veterans. I was able to attend Friday at Turner Ashby, and then again today at Spotswood High School. Excellent events, and so proud of our students and pulling all that together, and our teachers to make it happen. And then also, I was invited a few weeks ago to attend the good attendance celebration at Riverbend Elementary School. The kindergarten teacher there, Mrs. Wendy Constable, put this together. So for the first 50 days of school, students who had perfect attendance or who were on track to have good attendance for this school year, they had a bit of a celebration, and they had numerous, I don't know how many antique cars that community volunteers agreed to drive through a sort of a parade for all the students to see. Had an Elvis impersonator, so it was a fun afternoon. They were doing root beer floats for students who had perfect attendance for the first 50 days. So I got to participate with that event and really enjoyed it, and it was unique. I'd never been a part of that, something like that before, so a little out of the box thinking. So thank you, Chair Cross.
Thank you guys for all you do, and I won't go real deep into everything I've been up to, but I just want to say I was also able to attend Mr. Rocap's class. I sat in on 2 of his classes that day. One was in North Carolina, and one was up in New Jersey, I think. But anyway, a great opportunity. And before I left there that day, I had an opportunity to run into Mr. Armstrong, who does our alternative education there at Elkton Middle School. And he said, would you like to come see my classroom? I said, absolutely. So I spent another hour there checking out his class and the kids in there, and they absolutely loves his trailer out there and doesn't want that taken away. So just a little hit to the board. So Mr. Armstrong, thank you for all you do as well. He's doing a great job down at Elkton Middle School. Also had an opportunity to come today to the Veterans Day celebration here at Spotswood, and man, what a great job that Bo Dickinson did putting on the presentation of Company C in Harrisonburg and their contributions to D-Day, and the kids and the students that came out, and you guys did a fabulous job in putting that together. So thank you guys for all that you did as well. So I had a great opportunity in talking with the veterans that were here today, and one was from China. She was born in China, and she, during, I want to say after 9/11 maybe, she wanted to do something in joining the military. And she was an American citizen born in China and spent the next, I think she said, 10 or 15 years serving in the military, giving back as a psychologist. And what a touching story that she gave today. And so I met quite a few heroes, some from that served in Vietnam, and just to hear some of their stories as well was pretty amazing. So thank you to all the veterans that gave of yourself and your time and giving to us as American citizens. This wouldn't be possible without your contribution. On Tuesday was a great day, and I had an opportunity to come here to Spotswood and meet a bunch of my son's teachers, and what amazing people that they are. And I just want to thank all my son's teachers here at Spotswood for putting in the time and effort into my own child's life, and thank you for loving on him and caring for him, and that all that you do there. So thank you to all the teachers here at Spotswood that do everything you do. So that will end tonight our school board member comments, and we will get into action items. First on our list tonight is to approve the minutes of the October 28th, 2024 meeting. Do I hear a motion to do that?
I move to approve the minutes of the October 28th, 2024 meeting as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Hurst. Do I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Cave. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes. Yes. All opposed say no. All right, motion passes 4-0. Next on our list tonight is bills and mileage, and Dr. Shiflett, you have that.
Chair Cross and board members, I recommend approval of the October 2024 bills as presented.
Thank you, Dr. Shiflett. I'll second that. And actually, I'll move that motion. Do I have a second? Thank you, Ms. Lohr. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes. Yes. Any opposed? All right, motion passes 4-0. 5-0, I'm sorry. We was in 4-0 in closed session. Now we're back in 5-0. All right, next on the list tonight is field trips. And Dr. Shiflett, you have that as well.
Yes, Chair Cross and board members, I have several field trips for your consideration. Turner Ashby High School, the Virginia Thespian All-State Musical, January 8th through 11th, 12 students, McLean, Virginia. Choir, Virginia Music Educators Performance, November 21st through 23rd, 2 students, Norfolk. And Spotswood High School, TSA Leadership Academy, November 15th through 17th, 1 student, Hartfield, Virginia. And I do recommend approval of these field trips.
Thank you, Dr. Shiflett. Board members hearing the recommendation of superintendent, do I hear a motion?
I move we approve the field trips as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Lohr. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Cave, any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes. Yes. Any opposed? All right. Motion passes 5-0. Next on our list tonight is bid recommendations for copy paper. And Mr. Steve Reed's been waiting patiently for us over there, so thank you, Mr. Reed, for waiting patiently.
Members of the board. multi-purpose office copy paper was properly specified and advertised. 10 suppliers were sent bid packages and 5 suppliers responded to the sealed bid. Our recommendation is to award the contract in the amount of
Chair Cross and board members, I recommend approval of the contract for the copy paper to the low bidder, Liberty Paper, as presented by Steve Reed, Director of Maintenance.
Thank you, Dr. Shiflett. Do I hear a motion? Thank you, Ms. Cave. Any questions, comments for Mr. Reed?
Second.
While we have him here?
Second.
I'm sorry. Do I have a second?
And I have some comments.
Go ahead. Do I have a second? You
Ms.
second
Laura
it, Ms. Laura?
seconded.
Okay. All right. Any questions, comments?
All right, so my comments aren't necessarily related to the bid, so I'm all good there. But what I do want to bring up is this concept of paper rationing in Rockingham County Public Schools. And what I mean by that is too often we run out of paper really early in the year. I know as a teacher that I have experienced all kinds of creative ways to ration paper, and I don't want to share those. But all the teachers in Rockingham County know what I'm talking about. And this is not I don't want to be in a place where we're policing our teachers for paper usage. If we need more paper because our teachers have planned thoughtful and quality things that they want to photocopy things for, then they should have the paper. I've already heard of one school having what I call the rationing talks, where, hey, we got to make this last. It's November. We got to make it last until February. I don't like that. I personally have purchased a box of paper due to paper rationing, as we call it, and I would just like to encourage us as board members to say, we like technology and technology has its uses, but I'm a paper pencil gal, and I would much rather see, especially our younger students, doing things on paper pencil, and I don't want our teachers being rationed paper nor having to beg for paper or pay for paper out of pocket. That's just my plea and my request. So as we're making this bid, buy lots of paper, buy all the paper that we need and then some with this money.
I will say this, over the last year and a half, we had some schools that had hundreds of pages of copy paper stuck back in closets. And for the last year and a half, we have been working that paper out and making sure that we did not have inventory that was 2 or 3 years old because that caused a problem. So we've been working that out. Last year, we only ordered 1,580,
And I appreciate that. I think that's fantastic. We always want to be responsible with the resources that we have. I remember one year in 2008, 2009, when money got really tight, our principal at the time asked all of the teachers, instead of, when I give you $100 or whatever it is to buy classroom supplies, instead of just using it, do you all think you could, maybe instead of the second grade teachers buying paper clips with that money, the kindergarten teachers could share some of their paper clips? Because, you just tend to build this stockpile, and lo and behold, we managed to say, we found stockpiles of all kinds of things in our building. And so I appreciate the wise use of resources. I just don't want our teachers to feel like they have to go out and buy paper to get us through till February. And then we have that same conversation, in May when it's testing time and it's time to start doing all the different activities and review things. And those things take paper, and we can provide paper, I think. And I just want to be. Okay. Okay.
And I may just add, about 3 years ago, I think there was a formula we used. I think it was 8 sheets per kid per day or something that we would send out to schools, and then schools could purchase additional cases. But about 3 years ago, we just started looking at how many cases of paper were schools using, and we just started buying whatever they had used the previous year. So there's been an effort from our end not to ration it. I don't always know what messages are coming from, school level. I mean, the other day I got an email from someone, and at the bottom it said, please think carefully before printing this email. So I guess they're just trying to be, thoughtful of the planet or whatever, or the trees. But, and I hear your sentiment that we want to make sure our teachers have the resources they need to be successful in their classrooms. And so we'll strive to do that. And we have this order to go out, and if we need more paper, we can find some more paper.
Thank you, Dr. Shiflett. We just keep an eye on that.
Is this intended to be the only order? Hopefully, fingers crossed?
So next year about this time.
Okay.
Any other questions? Mr. Reed's here.
I mean, we obviously get a much better price when we buy large quantities like this. And as it works out, this is exactly 3 truckloads, so that helps on the price also. We're not paying less than load pricing for delivery.
I will share with you all that my husband told me we could get a cheaper price at the Dunder Mifflin or Michael Scott Paper Company. And he said, you won't say it at your meeting. And I said, yes, I will.
Just call Dwight. Call Dwight.
Yes.
Or Jim.
Any other questions, comments? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say yes. Yes. Any opposed? All right, motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Reed, for coming out. Appreciate it. Next on our list tonight is school security. Camera committee that Mr. Bailey is going to be presenting. Thanks again, Mr. Bailey, for coming out tonight and sharing your talent with us. You did a great job.
Thank you for not throwing stuff at me. No, it doesn't normally happen, but yeah. I appreciate it. Thank you all for your time. Dr. Shiflett, Chair Cross, school board members. First, I want to say before we get into this, my findings for the school cameras is no judgment, criticism of past school boards' leadership, IT, maintenance, or anyone else. This is just merely a finding of some things that we have going on here with the school cameras. I did a school safety survey of all the schools in Rockingham County, all 25, with 653 years of experience with our principals combined on all 25 schools. We have an 8.2 safety rating overall out of 10. Generally, they feel safe in the school system. However, the physical school needs, one of the things I asked them when I went around to the school safety surveys was if the coffers of heaven were opened up and there was an unlimited budget, Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, everybody else gave their free money, you had unlimited funds to spend, what would you fix with your school? And I asked that question because I know, just talking about the rationing of paper, supplies are often limited, right? So what you're seeing here is a pie chart of the physical school needs. I broke that down into two, policy and procedural, which I presented to you all in closed session earlier this year. And this is the physical school needs. As you can see, we have some other items on here, but 25% of the principals in this county said that cameras were an issue for them in their schools, whether they needed more of them. Some of it was clarity, some of it was usage. When they go to get the stuff, it wasn't there, the footage wasn't there. So as we move on, one of the biggest things we see overall as a whole is we lack a little consistency. And we lack consistency in some of the placement, consistency with some of the resolution. And this is no, like I said before, the disclaimer up front, no judgment on anyone. Technology passes us by ephemerally now. It's very quick changing, and stuff is outdated, as you'll see as we go on. The capabilities, we have some cameras that pan. We have some cameras that are fixed. So we want to start looking at what we're doing with our camera system and setting up some minimum standards. Dr. Shiflett commissioned me with trying to put together this committee to start doing those things. The software right now, I think we have 7 different types of software that operate our camera systems, and we want to be interoperable. So we want our systems to work with all of our other technology that we're currently using. Some of the software issues that we're seeing. The 4 up here, EverFocus is one of the, these are for 4 softwares that we use for our current camera systems. The current EverFocus, the software for these systems, introduces a cybersecurity concern. For SPECO, the software for these systems is also a cybersecurity concern. The person running the software must have local administrative rights on their computer. Hikvision is a Chinese state-owned software company now. The federal government is not allowing it to be. It's sanctioned in the U.S. and in Europe. TrueVision, I think, is what we have mostly right now. There's at least 4 different versions of TrueVision system across RCPS, each of which require their own unique hardware and or software. Some of them are interoperable, but not all. So they're essentially rebadged Hikvision systems. So very similar to the Hikvision that the Chinese own. So our school security camera committee, we want to build a coalition. We want to get voices from all layers, as many as we can. But you want to keep it to where we have a good working order. So we've got IT involved. Going to task Gregory Gillette, Andrew Ickes, our network services manager. Our principal is 1 from each level: Dan Sanders from Broadway High School, Dr. Holloway from Elkton Middle School, and Aaron Branner from John C. Myers Elementary. From maintenance, Mr. Wesley Wade, he specializes in the cameras and security systems. Our school resource officers, a lot of times, the field that they come from, they have a specialized input in where these cameras are placed to kind of get, those are the folks that use the back end of this footage on a daily basis. So we got Kevin Doffenmeyer, Sergeant Doffenmeyer, and David Puffenbarger. And I will say this about Mr. Puffenbarger. I'll give him a plug while we're right here right now, since I can. Couple of SROs, when I went around to the schools, we've got a lot of good SROs, and that's a good thing to have in the school system. My fiance was an SRO in the school system. But Mr. Puffenbarger, there were 2 people that got brought up regularly, Onijah and Mr. Puffenbarger. And I asked Kevin Doffenmeyer if he wanted to serve on this committee, and I asked him if David Puffenbarger would. And the reason I didn't ask Onijah necessarily is because we have heavily Broadway influence with the principals. And the reason I picked both of those, Dan Sanders was very adamant about cameras when I went and spoke to him with the survey. And Aaron Branner has been very safety forward in her thinking. Not that anyone else isn't, but she stood out to me in some of the ways she thought through things. So when I thought about Onijah, and I was like, well, I don't want to have everybody from Broadway. We want to spread this out a little bit. So Mr. Puffenbarger's name came up, and I said, I asked him to serve as kind of a nod to the awesome job that he does in the school system. And I know the people at Penn, when you go to a school and someone says, man, we lost him this year, he went to a different school, he must be doing a valuable job. So, and myself will also serve on this school camera committee. So one of our goals, we want to establish minimum standards for RFPs moving forward. So right now, this will help us maintain the same level of service across the school system. So as you all know, we have variation in buildings. Some of our schools are built in the 50s or sooner, or prior dating to that. So some of them are as new as 10 years old or less. So with that being said, we have a lot of different systems that we have to utilize. The low bid will no longer mean sacrificing capability. So if you put out an RFP, we need a camera. A camera is a camera, but this way we'll have some standards set for different cameras. Expand the interoperability to potentially include the following: emergency communication center access in the future. So where we have our LifeSpot app and some other things moving forward with technology, we may be able to use this with our other technology to provide a better service in the case of emergency. Integration with other existing systems, Paxton Key and our guest registry systems. With the right camera software, we might be able to utilize our other systems more accommodating for us. Establish locations for cameras, more consistent, likely not identical. So what you have at a Linville Edom Elementary is probably not going to be what you have at East Rock High School. That's what I was meaning with that statement. So plans, we want to find the best option that will work for our needs while being mindful of our stewardship. I think if we go, looking for the low bid, we're going to get low bid, so to speak. But at the same time, we can't have a champagne taste either. So we have to be mindful of what we have, what we're needing. We want to present our findings to the executive team and to the school board to seek grant opportunities where possible, establish a timeline for installation, see how, if we're going to have to take a bite of this elephant one bite at a time, or if we can, make a sweeping move to kind of make this happen. And we wanted to develop a plan for incremental replacement as technology improves. you have a lot of rollover with this stuff. It's not, some places we've got VHS players where we need some laser-focused cameras, and it's nobody's fault. It's just the way technology has progressed and our needs have changed rapidly as a society. If approved, our first meeting will be scheduled November 15th at 0900 in the Andes room. These meetings will be held as needed until we have a desirable product for our school system that's safe and efficient. Do I have any comments, questions, concerns?
Is that this Friday?
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to add a school board member to this. I would like to recommend Ms. Burgoyne if she is willing and able to be added to this committee. I think her perspective as an ECC member would be valuable.
Absolutely. Anyone else?
I'd like for you to have a red Merlot taste for this, all right? So
Okay.
go ahead and up the ante on that. And during your studies here, will you guys look at what it's going to cost us to get all of our middle and our high school at least on the same working operative system? What that's going to cost the county to be able to do that, because it is really important for me to be able to have, starting off our high school and then our middle school, with the capability with ECC being able to tap into those cameras in case of a call. So will you guys look at that during this committee? And
Yeah,
find it out?
absolutely. And
Okay.
when I presented to you all before with my findings of kind of my hazard risk assessment of the county as a whole, that was one of the things that I brought up, is that we were kind of chicken scratching the surface of some large scale needs, probably likely capital improvement needs. Some of these items, including the cameras, would be one of those big ticket items that we may have to, go into the comprehensive plan we have to strategize for. Ballparking it, it would be guesstimates to throw out a number, and I don't want to foolishly place a number out for everybody to have the gasp, but collectively, it's not going to be a cheap move when you're purchasing technology. However, we do have a lot of cameras in place to see what we can use moving forward. That's why I really wanted to tap into our IT department with this as well, because those folks are top notch, and if we can find what works with all of our systems, we may be able to save us money. If we don't have to house everything on our servers, some of them are web-based, that may actually lend us to saving money in the long run too, with network services and stuff like that. I'm not trying to get into Mr. Gillette's lane, but from what I understand, that would be the case as well.
How many systems, how many systems we have operating with the one that?
We have 4 that I listed, and the True Vision has several systems that are no longer supported.
What about the Hikvision?
Hikvision's banned censored in the U.S. and Europe.
You have none of those?
1.
And one last question while I got you here. Do you have a ballpark figure of what our up-to-date with our safety app? How many of our
When I left
for
this
that?
afternoon, we were at like 880.
880?
Yes, sir. One of the issues was that the codes had expired, so I reset the codes and had them set to a little longer. I'm also going to reach out to the sheriff's office. The office staff was off today in honor of Veterans Day. So tomorrow I'm going to get back with them on the SRO phones. If they're good to go, we may be able to have a new live date set soon.
We're pushing, what, half maybe of our staff?
2,000 is the number we got, so not quite half.
All right, I'd just like to encourage our staff to put this on your phone if you can. I mean, I know it's your choice to be able to do that, but in case of an emergency, this is a great opportunity to be able to contact ECC, and your input for the safety of our kids and our schools is in your hands at that time. So I just encourage.
One of the largest things, or one of the best things I think that the app provides is communication from law enforcement to the inside of the school. And I'm not championing either way. I respect people's rights and privacy. And, if someone really doesn't want to have this, but from a safety standpoint, you all have given them the opportunity to have a communication, a peace of mind. And I do think that it would be a very good tool for them to get. I've been trying to champion. I've been going to some meetings after school with the staff to try to talk them through the questions and some of the things they have. I've got another couple meetings coming up next week.
I appreciate it. I mean, I know just reading a little bit up on the Georgia shooting that happened earlier this school year. This was a similar app that they had down there that they used that was very successful in response time and knowledge of law enforcement coming to the school. So
It's a tool. It's not the fix-all, but it's a tool for us to use, and I think it'll be a good tool. I think we'll learn how to use it well. Thank you, folks. Appreciate you.
I would like to add on that plug for the app. This is something that I have been doing extensive research on since I was campaigning this time last year, and or before, longer. And I think for our staff, anybody watching at home, for our staff, that it seems like a scary app, that it tracks you, and I think there's some misinformation maybe out there that, you know, it only activates when you're inside of a certain geofence, which are our schools and our safe zones, with, you know, our schools and our county buildings within the school system. So it is, and I've seen it work in half a second. Every single police officer in Rockingham County, our towns included, will know that there is a declared emergency at a school. And I can speak because my husband works for the sheriff's office, and I know his peers, and they're going to be en route, laser focused, heading to wherever that emergency is. And so I would definitely encourage the staff, if you have questions, call me, email me. I would happily go through it with you. I work at the ECC, I work at the 911 center. I'll give you this example. When there's a traffic crash on I-81, we'll get 20 phone calls. And sometimes they're just from a passerby with not a lot of information. And it takes time to get those resources going and things like that. And this gets to the police officers' phones in half a second. I think the guarantee is within 3 seconds. So this is huge, and this will just get people going, and at least they're en route, right? If I know where you're at, I can, and I don't even know what the emergency is, I can send everyone. I'll send police, I'll send the fire department, I'll send rescue squad, which I know a lot of our school staff members here know that's what happens when you accidentally call 911. You get the cavalry, you get everybody. Because if I know where you're at, I can send people. I may not know what you need, I'll just send you everyone. And we just want to get help to the location that needs it as quick as possible. So I think it seems scary. So if you have questions, I mean, obviously call Mr. Bailey, talk to me. I'll certainly give you more information, but I think it's such a great resource, and it's super, super important to get our responders notified as soon as possible to get on the road. You know, we talked about Bridgewater College, and everybody, that was the first time that ever happened around here. So that you try to prepare as much as you can, but this way our responders know a location and they can start heading there, even if they don't have much information. So that's just my plug for the app. Hopefully more people take advantage of it. It's really cool. You can talk directly to the officers responding. The information gets to them immediately. So just, yeah, if you have questions, let me know. I would also add for the school cameras and things like this, this is not tied into any alarm system, is that right?
Not currently.
Okay. I would love for everything to be on, not them together, but the same alarm system, same camera company, like that would be amazing. I would also suggest, because our investigators with the sheriff's office end up, they're in and out of our schools all the time for assaults and things like that, maybe adding one of our investigators to the committee for just maybe if there's some problem areas or things like that, they can give a better insight. I know that they are always asking for video, you know, videos from buses, videos from in school. So adding one of them, I think, would be advantageous to this mission here. So I love this idea, and I'm glad this is already ready to rock and roll. So
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Bailey, for coming up. We appreciate you. Next on our list tonight is policy revisions, and Ms. Becky Tennell.
Do we need to vote on that one?
Wait a second.
Do we need to take a
Yeah,
vote
let's
on
take
that?
a vote. Let's take a vote.
I'll make the motion.
All right, I'll second.
Well, I think I have to.
Say it.
I'll move to follow, I'll move to approve the school security camera committee with the addition of Ashley Burgoyne and one law enforcement investigator as presented by Caleb Bailey, the Director of School Safety and Security.
All right, I'll second that. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes. Yes. All right, motion passes 5-0. Next on the list tonight is Ms. Becky Tennell for policy revisions.
I popped up from nowhere back here. Chair Cross, Dr. Shivlett, members of the board. I saw you last time and brought you some policies for information. I think the only corrections were some spacing issues, and there were some questions about the deletion of the policy, and I think Ms. Horst said she was going to send that email from Ms. Painter so everyone understood why that was being deleted. So it looks like the policies are set to go if you all are ready to take action on them tonight.
Chair Cross and board members, I recommend approval of the proposed policy revisions as presented.
I move to follow the superintendent's recommendation to approve the proposed policy revisions as presented.
Second that. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say yes. Yes. All right, motion passes 5-0. Thank you. I know we'll be seeing you again. Dr. Shiflett, you're next on our list with the comprehensive plan community feedback. It looks like we got a lot of feedback from that.
All right, Chair Cross and board members, I want to take a few moments to talk about the feedback that we received from our community on our comprehensive plan. And just to quickly discuss sort of how we got to this place. June 18th, we had a work session at Central Office where we reviewed the Code of Virginia regulations governing comprehensive planning. And then we had another work session on July 23rd, where we kind of got a little more detailed with the required components of the plan, and we began having conversations about our focus areas and our goals. And then on August 6th, a much more detailed discussion on our focus areas and our goals, where we started to kind of more clearly define those. And then at the September 9th meeting, I shared a draft of the goals and focus areas for information to the school board. And after that meeting, we had some conversations with each other and just, talked about, the direction that we're going. And we made a few tweaks, and I came back September the 25th and shared the revised draft. At that meeting, I also informed the board that I would gather feedback from our community via a Google survey. And I want to thank Caitlin Gilkison for helping me put that survey together and aggregating that data from the survey, and also Katie Lapira for helping get that information out. So we sent this survey to all of our employees, all of our parents and guardians, to the community, and we received 2,368 responses. You can see there, a little over 2% was from students. Not very many students participated. A large contingency of parents and guardians gave us feedback, 72%. Staff members around 33.5%, and then community members 8.3%. So that just gives you a breakdown of what was actually, who responded. So these were our 6 identified focus areas: school safety, academic excellence, employee recruitment and retention, stewardship, community engagement, student behavioral health, and wellness. In the first part of the survey, we asked the participants to rank them in order of importance. So just put it out there to see what do people feel is the most important in terms of these 6 focus areas, right? Trying to, not everything can be a priority. If everything's a priority, then nothing is. So what are we really going to put our focus on? And probably you're not surprised, safety was, received the most responses as being the top priority, followed by academic excellence, which probably is to be expected since we are a teaching and learning institution. And then student behavioral health and wellness. And then they started leveling off employee recruitment and retention, stewardship, and then community engagement. So then we asked folks in our survey, with each focus area, we had various initiatives that we were discussing that we would like to consider implementing. And we asked people to rank them as number 1, not important, or number 5, very important. So sort of this scale, and so we did put a 3 in there, sort of neutral. So I want to walk through some of the initiatives that we collected information on. So school safety, we talked about enhancing security and surveillance systems by improving the number and quality of security cameras in schools and on school grounds. And so you look at, let's say, the top 2, right, the 4s and the 5s, important, very important and important. 72% of folks felt that way. So that's of those that responded, okay? And I'm going to kind of clip through these pretty quickly, but you get a sense of what I'm going to focus on. Developing a drug awareness program and implement programs to educate students about the risk and effects of drug use, specifically the dangers of vaping. And that was 72% of folks felt that would be, very important or important. Hire additional SROs with an aim to have at least one dedicated SRO in each school, ensuring a consistent security presence, 70%. Install stop-arm cameras on school buses to equip school buses with cameras to enforce traffic laws, especially around bus stops to ensure student safety. 62%. Again, that's the 4s and 5s collectively. And then with school safety, upgrade school bus technology to increase the quality of camera technology on school buses to provide clear and actionable footage if needed, and that was at 67%. We get to the ideas of academic excellence, 90% for developing programs that meet the academic needs of all students, including those who may face additional challenges, such as students in specialized education, English language learners, and students with exceptional strengths or talents. Also with academic excellence, continuing to develop and grow the lab school and strengthen the partnership with JMU and BRCC to enhance learning opportunities, 69.5%, 4s and 5s on that one. Academic excellence, secure property for a land lab. I heard that mentioned, I think, during school board questions and or highlights. To support the MTC farm and agricultural programs, 62.4 folks rated that as a 4 or 5. Addressing learning loss from COVID-19 by providing accessible after-school tutoring and summer school programs for students in needs, 66.9%. Developing a program that includes math specialists and dedicated to teaching elementary math classes, allowing elementary teachers additional planning time, 60.8%. Academic excellence, implement a updated technology plan to ensure technology use is purposeful, utilizing iPads or Chromebooks only when they are the most effective tools for learning, 66.3. Then academic excellence, I think the last one in this area, establish a junior ROTC program to provide additional leadership and career opportunities or career-oriented opportunities for students. And that only received 49% between, the 4s and 5s. So it wasn't, as maybe light as from other things. So employee recruitment and retention, 86.1, develop initiatives that enhance employee working conditions and foster a culture of excellence and accountability. Continue and expand, grow your own programs and explore other pathways to develop a talented workforce, about 65.4, 4s and 5s. Provide additional planning time for elementary school teachers to support instructional quality and effectiveness, 72.5. That was also sort of tied in with the math specialist. And then community engagement. Develop a school culture that fosters a strong sense of belonging for all families and students, 80.5, 80.5. Community engagement. Expand programs to ensure that every student has the opportunity to participate in school activities, 79%. I know that's also been something very important to the school board, is students having opportunities to participate. Community engagement, strengthen efforts to engage and connect with parents, supporting their active involvement in the school community, 70.7%. And then strengthen support for schools and students by expanding partnerships with community organizations, 63.5. Then focus area, student behavioral health and wellness. The initiative would be to establish high expectations for student behavior across all schools. This was the highest among all. 92.92% of folks responded with a 4 or 5. Very important or important. Thought that was very interesting. Create a discipline matrix to ensure consistent responses to behavior issues across the division. That was 80.6. Another high one, 89.2, for developing programs that provide support for students' behavior and overall wellness needs. So this is, again, had a lot of folks feeling that these are very important or important. But again, with behavior, health, and wellness, increase awareness of the effects of cell phone use and social media on student wellness. That was 75.5, 4s and 5s. Host motivational speaker events to inspire and encourage students, 51.6, so maybe not as high as some of the other areas when it comes to student behavior. And then implement a mentoring program to provide additional support and guidance for students, 69.9%. And then stewardship, being intentional in spending taxpayer money to maximize community resources, 78.5% of the respondents were 4s and 5s. Stewardship, ensure responsible spending practices across all district operations, 83.2. And then regularly review enrollment data in school capacity to guide effective resource allocation, 77.4. And then adjusting school attendance boundaries as needed to make the best use of available space, minimizing the need for new school construction when possible, and that was 66.3. So that gives you sort of a sense. Again, I focused on the 4s and 5s, who's very important or important. I didn't do a whole lot with the 3s. Maybe they were leaning to important or not, but you get a sense of what folks felt like were priorities. Also in your packet is a summary sheet. I think it was on the table. We had open responses, so participants could just add in their own comments and just give us some feedback. And so this is an executive summary that took all of the different comments and try to make them somewhat succinct, but you also have access to all the comments if you just want to peruse through them and read them and highlight them and see what folks had to say. So kind of over the next, few days, weeks, try to digest some of this information, and I'd love to have some conversations with you folks, some dialogue. I know Justin and I are doing some meetings with you individually as we talk about budget, but what tweaks do we need to make, what revisions? I would like to come back to you at the next meeting in November the 25th and say, here's sort of a information item with what we feel is a pretty confident, comprehensive plan, and then to have a vote on December the 9th, moving forward with our plan for the next 5 years. Now, I will preface all that by saying it's not chiseled in stone. It's a document that we can edit. We don't know what's around the corner. Next year, our priorities may shift. Something may happen. No one foresaw COVID, and that gave us put us in a tailspin. So we'll just have to adjust. But this is sort of a plan to help guide us in our priorities as we think about budgets and we think about how we want to use our scarce resources. This plan, we can refer back to it and say, oh, okay, here's what we have said as our priorities for the next 5 years and what we're trying to accomplish. Questions from board members?
Dr. Shiflett, seeing we also had a good response here for the math specialist piloting that program. One thing I'd like for you to do is to direct you to check the budget, see what it's going to cost to pilot that program, and to be able to do that the second half of the school year to get some ideas and some numbers going into next year. So check on that for me?
I would be happy to do that, Chair Cross, to look at the numbers and see where we are financially. I think the other caveat will be
Finding the right people.
finding the right people. But in some conversations that I've spoken to every elementary principal about this, and there seems to be quite a bit of interest from each of them about wanting to be a pilot. So
How much time are you looking at and having to invest into that to make sure that would be up and running?
I'm sorry, like, can you ask that again?
How much time do you think you're going to have to spend in getting that program started, pilot program started for the second part of this semester?
I don't think there's going to be a substantial amount of time. I've already spent a little time working with Amanda Rickard, our supervisor of mathematics, to build some schedules of what it could look like. So I think we've done some of that preliminary legwork. Spend some time working with Justin on the budget, and then some time with Dr. Painter looking at, finding the right people to plug in there. And then I think, I love the idea of doing a pilot. So, on paper it works, right? But then can we take it from paper and put it into practice, right? And see if we can make it happen. And so if we could do something like that in the second semester of the year, I think it would give us a good sense of, okay, do we have to make some adjustments moving forward and what that looks like? And this would be a program I would recommend to the board that we would implement over time to try to find that many teachers in one given year would be a pretty steep mountain to climb. But I think if we could pace it out over 3 years, I think we could get there. Because after the first year, we're going to have a huge incentive for people wanting to teach elementary school in Rockingham County Public Schools, right? So, but I just don't think we can do it all in 1 year. So trying to map that out over a course of several years, I think would make sense financially, and just also just finding the right people.
And piloting the program, are you looking at one school to pilot in this, starting off maybe this coming year, or two, or what?
Yeah, I think it would be great if we could at least do one school, maybe perhaps two. Originally last spring when we were starting to kind of kick this idea around, I met with a couple of our smaller elementary schools, just because it doesn't require as many teachers to get it up and running. I also had a teacher or principal say, well, I'll just do it with one grade level at my school, right? So there's definitely interest in trying this approach. As I've said before, I think it does a lot of things for us. So we spent countless hours working in our reading instruction and building our reading program, and I think we're doing great work there. It's a work in progress. We're still getting better at this. But for me, I think the next thing coming is math, right? For elementary schools, it's math. So that's another. You think about doing that work, repeating that work that we just did with elementary reading. Man, that was heavy. So now we have a different approach where we're going to just really find people who are experts at teaching elementary math. So it's not as many folks, right? So now we're going to get the very best math teachers that we can find. So that's going to be one positive plug for our students. So they're going to get the very best math instruction. Number two, our elementary teachers have always been shortchanged when it comes to instructional planning time, right? We've known that's like forever, as long as I can remember. So now there's an opportunity for them to gain back some additional planning time. And three, we're taking something off their plate, right? And people sometimes will say, what are you going to take off my plate? Well, we're going to take teaching math off your plate. So become really good at teaching reading, and you can integrate science and social studies from time to time and do some really cool things with that. And then someone else who's an expert at math will come in and teach math for you. So I think it's a really, I'm just anxious to try it out, really. I mean, I appreciate, you giving me some direction to do that, because it will give us a sense. It looks good on paper. I've got it all written out here. It looks really good. Now, see how this works in practice. Any other questions about the plan, or?
Thank you for for presenting that tonight, and you're coming back next month as well on this, right? Vote on it, we're looking at it.
I'd like to come back with, I guess, what an official information item of the final version, and then we'll vote on the 9th. And then I've been talking with Kata Lapira, who's going to put it on our website for us, make it look really nice. And then it'll be just up to us to then kind of fill in some of the gaps as we move along from year to year. I mean, I could, are we going to be able to afford, 2 grade levels of math specialists in year 1, or is it going to just be 1 in year 1 and 2 in year 2? So we'll have to fill in the gaps as we move forward with it. But I think just having that on the radar, just as we talked with Caleb here earlier about the camera system, I'm not exactly sure which cameras and how it will work out, but it's on the radar and we're moving in that direction. That was something that was high priority, from his inventory research that he did, and plus also from what we did. So now we're hearing it from 2 sources. So this helps us prioritize and kind of give us a little bit of direction. Yep.
Thank you, Dr. Shiflett. Next on the information item tonight is going to be high school course offerings for 2025-2026 school year, and Ms. Liza Kaufman has that.
Thank you. It seems a little early in the school year to already be talking about what we might offer in 25-26. But before principals can put together their staffing requests, we need to know what courses students would request, what would people want to take, how many sections would we need in the high schools. And before school counselors can work with them on that, we need to know what is available. So in board docs, you will see the list of high school courses, of proposed courses, with the new courses proposed in red. And I thought I would present to you this evening for information to hopefully be back at the next meeting for action, and glad to answer any of your questions either this evening or if there are some specific details that you'd like some follow-up questions. Also, I'm really grateful to Carrie Gray, our CTE supervisor, for being here this evening because all of the proposed new courses are CTE courses. So she's here to help provide some backup on those specifics. It's an important update, which I think you all maybe, or those folks who sit on the go to the MTC board meetings would know, but we will be adjusting for the 25-26 school year the number of credits that are offered for each one of our MTC courses. So we need to, as RCPS, we need to come into better alignment with what VDOE says that we can allow for those courses. So there are exceptions, but in general, a first-year MTC program right now earns 1.5 credits, and under the next year, it would earn 1, and an afternoon or second-year program typically is 2.5 credits, and it will go to 2. As a part of that, in order to continue to have students in our second-year MTC program get 2 credits for the second-year vet science program, MTC is proposing that we add small animal care to the program of studies to be able to be offered at MTC as a part of the vet science program. If accepted, the fiscal implications of that would be that they would need some new textbooks. We also propose to include applied agricultural concepts in our program of studies. This is a part of the realignment of agricultural courses in the progression, like from middle school through senior year, to be able to expand the offerings that we offer to students to include more dual enrollment options. So right now, we have a course that we're using in middle school, and then if you take that in middle school for high school credit, you can't take it again in high school for dual enrollment credit. And we want to streamline those and to be able to offer a more seamless course progression so that students are able to expand their offerings for dual enrollment towards the end of high school. So this course, if accepted, would be kind of the new typical freshman agricultural course landing spot. But it would be available to students in grades 9 through 12. We propose to add 2 courses in tech ed, specifically in the broadcasting area of tech ed, to the program of studies. That would give us a 4-year course progression in broadcasting, kind of like how we have photojournalism 1, 2, 3, 4. If you are super into that, you can take 4 years of it. Right now we have 2 broadcasting courses in our program of studies, but we would like to have 4. So that would be the imaging technology and digital visualization. Lastly, we propose adding 2 courses and therefore creating a new department, sort of. It would be under CTE, but a new CTE program at our home high schools for health and medical sciences. So thank you to Carrie Gray, who put together a questionnaire we sent out to students. We had, as of this morning, there were about 850 responses from students in grades 8 through 11. So we didn't survey seniors because this, if accepted, this would come after they're gone. And you can see that it breaks out roughly a third, a third, a third. So a third of our students say they are very interested in a healthcare career or medical field after high school graduation. So that is a serious career interest for about a third of our students. A third of them say, no thank you, that's not for me. And a third of them are like, well, maybe, like I'm kind of open to it, still exploring. And it is worth noting that in our community, help me with the verbiage, that high demand, high wage. High wage, high demand. I nailed it. Okay, thank you, Carrie. So that those careers are in high demand in our community. So that is worth, I think, and so do others, of encouraging our students to participate in this because of the career opportunities that they offer to them. You can see we asked them of the people who responded. You can see that a small percentage, like 5% or so, are already enrolled in an MTC program because we do have MTC programs in health and medical sciences. And adding these to our home high school, rather than like taking away from that, could actually encourage greater participation in it in a way that, like, just because there are ag classes at your home high school doesn't take away from the ones we have at MTC, or, you know, taking intro to foods at your home high school doesn't take away from culinary at MTC. In fact, it may be the way that someone who is in their freshman year explores that. So then you can see, so about 5% of the people who responded to the survey are already at MTC for a health and medical sciences class. And about a third of them, maybe it's the same kids who said they are definitely into a health and medical career. I don't know if it's a one-to-one match, but still about a third of them are willing to invest the time and schedule allocation to an MTC program. But if we would expand our course offerings to include the 2 proposed courses taught at the home school, you can see that we get closer to about 40% of students who would be interested in trying more of an introductory course if Introduction to Health and Medical Sciences were added to the program of studies. We get up to about a fourth, and then even still about a third of them willing to give it a try, willing to consider it. We also propose to add medical terminology as a part of that sequence taught at the home schools. It is a little bit of a chicken and an egg situation because we don't currently have staffing to teach these courses at our home high schools. But either if we get approval for the courses, then we could see who would be interested in taking them, and then know if there is demand for those sections and therefore staffing them. we couldn't go out and hire someone and say like, well, we'll see if we can teach those courses or if kids would be interested, right? So the first step, because of the progression and the way the year is organized, would be to seek approval for the courses. And then, if students were interested, then staffing. But adding a whole new program would have the most fiscal impact of those courses. Any questions?
Great. Could you just elaborate on what's your thoughts in this and adding this to the schools? I'd like to hear your professional opinion on it.
For the health and medical sciences in particular. I started conversations 2 summers ago with high school principals just about their CTE programs in general. What do they feel like they're missing? Would this be an asset to their schools? And overwhelmingly, they said yes. And so then over the last year, it's kind of doing the background work, looking at other divisions that offer these programs, talking with employers and our advisory committee to say, where are your students coming from that are going into these careers? Do they need more training? Do they need more courses to get them interested so that they're willing to seek out these careers after graduation or seek further education that will lead them to these careers? And overwhelmingly, yes. Just looking at part of what I have to do for VDOE to apply for a new program or a new course is to look at job openings and job postings in the local area. There's a lot of openings. I have to look at a lot of employment data, growth data, wage data, and overwhelmingly, these are high growth, high demand, high wage careers in our area.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. And could you explain the losing the half credit for going from 1.5 down to 1 and 2.5 down to 2?
So we used to consider seat time, and seat time equaled credits. And since VDOE kind of went away from seat time equals credits several years ago, I'm not sure exactly how many. And so in the process, they're asking regional technical centers to realign the credits they're assigning to their courses with what has been approved for those courses at the VDOE level. And so we're just realign. That's what we're asking to do is we're looking at those courses and what the VDOE allowable credits are, and then saying we're going to adjust the credit we're giving to students for those courses to match that. I think students have, you can add to this, students have opportunities to earn enough credits to graduate. And so I don't think it's going to be a big factor.
When I was in high school, my junior year, we had an opportunity to apply for this class called Med Topics. And I hope maybe my teacher will see this one day, but it was an awesome class, and it was medical terminology, anatomy, and physiology. And then it was super, super competitive, and you had to make grades and pass certain classes, and very, very competitive. And the best part was that we got to wear scrubs to school, so that was super fun. But then we would drive to our local hospital, and we would do internships there, and we would do certain rotations. And that was one of probably my favorite and best experiences of my high school education, was being able to do that. We didn't earn college credits or anything, but it was very similar to this. But then we partnered with the hospital and got to do some really cool stuff when we were seniors. But we had to make grades in all of our classes, and like I said, it was very competitive. So I can see this like evolving into something like that, and also being academically competitive. And I hope you have people like beating down the door wanting to be in this, because I mean, I got so much out of this class. So saw a lot of really cool things, lots of cool medical procedures, surgeries. You just never knew when you got to the hospital what was going to be there. So anyway, I love this.
I don't believe we've done anything like this while I've been on the board, added an entire new thing where we need entire new staffing, right? How do you envision ramping this up? As far as, I mean, like, do you think we'll split teachers between two high schools to begin with? Or how do you envision this?
That's a great question. Well,
I am really good for pull out your crystal ball questions, so sorry for that.
well, great. Your crystal ball and your checkbook, because it will, because the staffing will depend, right? There's always that limitation, right? So I think it depends on, number one, what the course requests would be for it. So we may find that there would be demand for full staffing of a teacher in each high school. Or we may find that there's really only demand for half a teacher at one high school. I have a guess, but I don't really know what it would be, and sometimes teenagers surprise me in this work that we do. So I would say that we would look at demand for sections, and we would need to look at space, because the space constraints and equipment constraints would matter. So I think we would let section, like course requests and section numbers have to play into that. Budgetary ideas would have to play into that. Ideally, I would love to get to staffing numbers where we have a full teacher at each, if accepted, that we would have a full staff member at each one of the high schools in order to provide this program to students. I think there will be demand for it. I think the kids are interested in it, and the careers are there in our local community.
So do you think that, because, it takes a while to build a program, and it takes a while to gain interest, especially with teenagers. Do we need to be thinking about this for new teachers in the budget this budget year?
That is a great question. I don't know, either 2 or 4. I don't think it would be fewer than 2, but if there was only funding for 1 and only interest for 1, I think that would be better than nothing. But 4 would be ideal.
And this is just a high school course?
Yes, ma'am.
This isn't something that drops down into the middle school?
At
this point in time, for sure, right?
There's only one middle school approved health and medical sciences course. Most divisions only implement at the high school level, so maybe we could talk about middle school in the future, but I think getting things started at the high school level is the way to go in this case.
Thank you.
High schools, we may have the space, but other ones will be tight. So it's going to be, what kind of equipment are you thinking about putting in the classroom and things like that?
I mean, there's all kinds of really cool equipment we could, but you could also do it on a basic level and have the equipment that, if you walked into a doctor's office that you would see. So it all that's going to play in. I mean, like Mr. Bailey, if I gave you the moon and gave you no budget, it might look like this, but all that's going to play into budget constraints, and I have a spectrum of ideas of what it might look like. It just depends.
Teachers, for the qualifications, we're looking at the same qualifications.
Health and medical sciences licensure is one of the most interesting teacher licensure, and so I would rely on our licensure expert and VDOE heavily on that. Some of the courses do require some experience in the field before they can seek licensure, and so it's really find an applicant and look at their experience and look at their degree and work from there. So these are 2 of the courses that have fewer requirements as far as job experience, but there are some courses where you have to have worked 5 years in the industry before you apply for teacher licensure in this area. Those aren't these courses, but they do require some special training and some special coursework.
Okay, and my last question, sorry. My last question is so when we put out the schedule for next year, we have that. What month are we looking at that at?
For the schedule
Yes.
for next year, like for,
Next year, if we offer this next year, we put it out there on the calendar for the kids to sign up for, kind of to give us an idea of what our numbers are for next year.
yeah. So course registration, school counselors usually complete that with students in like January-ish, to then be able to turn staffing numbers in February-ish. That's why if we bring the proposed new courses in November, then we can have the program of studies completed in December and month by month by month, put the next year together.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions? All right, great.
Guys, for coming tonight, thank you. All right, next is policy revisions, and that's Ms. Becky Tennell coming back up.
Good evening again, everyone. We have some policies here for you to look at. 3 of them are VSBA to VSBA, and you can see the changes are mostly legally required changes. And then the last one is an update of a Rockingham County policy, and Ms. Painter, Dr. Painter would like to go ahead and adopt the VSBA policy. There was one sentence that we had in that policy that she doesn't feel like we need to have in there anymore. So those are for the policies I'm bringing for information this evening.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Board members, any comments? All right, that moves us out of our informational items for tonight. There is a financial review, board members, in your folder that you can look at that Mr. Moyers has provided for us, so that's in your folder to look at and to go over. We do not have anyone tonight signed up for public comments, and so I'll start the night out as I went out of order last time. We'll start with Ms. Hurst for her comments tonight.
I just want to start the conversation as a board regarding recess. In particular, I would like to propose that we have our personnel do an accounting of what's on our playgrounds at the elementary schools, and just provide a report to the board. And this is the kind of information that I'd like to have in the report, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But I'd like to have an inventory of the playground structures, including pictures of the structures at each school, because I'm visual like that. Evaluation of the existing structures, like when it was installed. Some were installed in the early 90s. Some were recently installed. I want to know about the type. Are they wooden? Are they metal? What repairs are needed? How much money PTOs and PTAs have spent on improvements in the last 10 to 15 years, with dates of how much and when, any current efforts to raise money for tracks or playground structures. And part of the reason for this is kind of twofold. One, I was visiting a school last week, and I saw an instructional assistant outside at the playground pushing a handicapped child who was in a wheelchair on an unpaved gravel track. And that's really hard work to push a wheelchair on an unpaved gravel track. And some of our elementary schools have their tracks paved, some are not. And usually that stuff just has historically fallen to PTOs or PTAs. And behind them were 2 other kids who were on scooters, and they were adorable, but they were working really, really hard to get some momentum on a gravel track. And you can't coast and do fun things when you are constantly having to push and pedal. And so that just kind of, I know some of us have talked about this a little, but one thing I want to just put out there is that at the middle and the high school levels, we don't require or ask, as a board, we don't ask PTOs and PTAs to fundraise for tracks or for light poles for the baseball or softball fields, because those things are extremely expensive. They're large ticket items that not even the athletic boosters are fundraising for. Those come just out of our main budget when we see the need and we can pay for those things. Playground structures of today they don't cost the same amount of money that they cost 20, 30 years ago. It's not like our PTAs are putting in $5,000 and $10,000 structures. These are really expensive. They can be $50,000, they can be $75,000. You can easily spend $100,000. I got an email from a parent talking about some of the PTA fundraising efforts at one of the schools, and since 2015, the PTA has they have fundraised about $60,000, and then they had in-kind donations of about $30,000 to put in a playground. So we're talking close to $100,000 just for a playground, and that is an incredible feat for some of our really small elementary schools, but even our larger ones. That's a lot of money. And I just want to say, you know, we have a tradition or just kind of like a standing practice as a school board, and I understand there are a lot of reasons for that. As to why we have never invested in like playground structures, but I would like to have kind of maybe a more broad discussion about it, talk a little bit more about it. And I think in order to do that, we need data and we need some information. I don't know where this goes after we have the information, but I would like to get some information just so that we can start having conversations about it, because there are a lot of things that our PTAs and PTOs want to do, you know, for teachers. And so when you're fundraising, you know, a small school might, as a PTA, they might only raise $2,000, $5,000 a year. That you're going to have to save up for a decade to even come close to one piece of playground equipment for your students. In the same way, like at the same time, you're trying to do really amazing things for your faculty and your staff, you know, staff at that building, teacher appreciation meals, things like that. But you're also, PTAs are looking to purchase things, they pay for school-wide assemblies or reward trips for kids. And so there's a lot of things that our PTAs do for our schools and communities. I'm just not sure I'm wondering if we've reached a time where we need to start looking at maybe the big picture of recess structure, like playground structures, being something that this board needs to take a look at. Purchasing, paying for, there's 15 elementary schools. That's a lot of elementary schools. That's a lot of money. I understand that, but I think we need to just start having some conversation about that.
Add in that, any complaints or any wants or desires from the school that's
I can tell you a complaint.
I got a complaint.
Well, and I guess Mr. Baker's probably gone, but so he could probably correct me on this if I'm wrong. I believe that the track that's there at MES was paid for maybe by the parents, and now I think this was the school. It's like cracked. It's like there's a safety hazard, and so now it's this. Well, they put it in. They should maintain it, and we are at a time where I don't know that they can maintain stuff like that, and I think it's important to have. So I think now with some of the stuff we're looking at safety problems, because there's big cracks where these kids that run recklessly and, you know, without reserve, they, you know, could break an ankle. So anyways,
I would also second that, or third that, because my kids come home with holes in the back of their shorts because they have been ripped on a nail, and my boys play hard. I know specifically at Linville, I helped sand and stain and was out there with other parents ripping nails out of the unsafe structure. Unsafe, I mean, there are parts of it and things to it that are unsafe. And I will speak as a not board member, but as a parent and a PTO member from Linville. We don't bring in a lot of money, so it's really hard, and we rely on the community a lot, and we rely on the Rurtons are awesome, but I don't think that there's that much money to repair as much as it needs to. I think it needs to be completely replaced, and that's just at one school. So anyway.
Okay, Ms. Cave?
I had something in my head. I know there are no students left. Oh, thank you. I was like, I forget what I was going to talk I would like to thank everybody who came out, and thanks to Spotswood for hosting us tonight. Really appreciate your hospitality. And a special thanks to Officer Price for being here the whole time. And being the SRO from Montevideo Middle School is with us tonight, so thank you to you. And that's all I have.
I think I'm okay. Thanks.
I'm good. Thank you, sir.
All right. And we do not have reason to go into closed session because we did that before, so meeting adjourned.